Strawberry says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Strawberry. Welcome. Strawberry says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Strawberry. Welcome. Strawberry says, hand pink waving. Strawberry says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Strawberry. Welcome. Anish Lovo says, double tap on screen, face red heart shape.
Strawberry subscribed.
Jacqueline Myers Q8L says, I think it's C. Strawberry says, said hi. Dear Mr. says, I think it's A. Randy McIntyre K7J says, said hi. Dear Mr. says, Mike Oxlong and Mike Litteris are best couple. Strawberry Stitch says, who? Dear Mr. says, genitalia. Strawberry Stitch says, hand pink waving. Pebble D0G Gray says, CBC girls are short. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C but as a girl I'm not short. Dear Mr. says, brainy girl. Hornet Dude haha says, what the heck haha. Hornet Dude haha says, face blue smiling. Dear Mr. says, okay Google. Hornet Dude haha says, App Store. Strawberry Stitch says, Yaya. William D4 says, Mama. Aria 31 Austin says, B. I think. Hornet Dude haha says, no it's C. Elona Haja 030 says, 3 hashtag. Tina Prince 05 says, hi Elona. Hornet Dude haha says, hi Nightbot. Tina Prince 05 says, hey Nightbot. Aria 31 Austin says, actually you might be right because the pelvis is wider while males are smaller. I think your girl heard it somewhere B or C. Laura Whitey says, fake. Dear Mr. says, Hugh Janis. Laura Whitey says, bro. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Voxel 10 says, see you bot. Laura Whitey says, please tell us. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Gabriel Gabailo says, you need to tell us already bro. Dear Mr. says, key to life is happiness in your household. Laura Whitey says, PLZSS. Mr. Grenade's cock says, I pooped. Laura Whitey says, if you tell us I will super chat $10. Mr. Grenade's cock says, cock. Hornet Dude haha says, I ate sugar. Mr. Grenade's cock says, cock. Mr. Grenade's cock says, Coco coca shock saxonox. Slavika Babik says, haha. It's Rye says, mall sick. Hornet Dude haha says, what the? Mr. Grenade's cock says, Coco coca shock saxonox. Is it the one you sent it and they are the goats in it? Mr. Grenade's cock says, Coco coca shock saxonox. Laura Whitey says, tell us I beg you then if you tell $50. It's Rye says, small ick. Dear Mr. says, Mike Dix Mal. Harnazam Sad says, see of course. Oz25 says, the one wearing lipstick. It's Rye says, small dick. Mix em all says, gag. It's Rye says, haha. Hornet Dude haha says, ayo. China Chan I7Q says, bro. Dear Mr. says, Mike Oxmal. China Chan I7Q says, don't worry dude. Mix em all says, gawk. Laura Whitey says, I will unsubscribe. Mr. Grenade's cock says, unsub. Carmen Shala says, subscribe please. China Chan I7Q says, QHY you guys so weird. Hornet Dude haha says, buzz. Ellie Holmes J4N says, guys so I know it's not a but I think it's because women are not very tall. Hornet Dude haha says, oh. Hornet Dude haha says, sorry. China Chan I7Q says, oh geez. Zimzum says, hello bro. China Chan I7Q says, I'm a giraffe then I guess. Hornet Dude haha says,
Silly me
okay
subscribed. Buzz I am a hornet bee.
Your local
subscribed.
try-hard says, a BCZ they always complain, I can't be talking BCZ I also am a woman. AKA Kareem Clip C7H says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at aka_Kareem_clips, C7H welcome. Samson Vaughn Golderson says, here's the more important question. Who TF asked? Diru Mr. says, Yoko Oxmal. AKA Kareem Clip C7H says, Su. Hornet Dude Haha says, said hi. Nightafton says, see. Your local try hard says, SAUU. Just Nuzzy says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Just Nuzzy welcome. Mix M All says, heard that Anish Lovo will quit. China Chan I7Q says, Waza. Hornet Dude Haha says, Waza. Nikhilesh Sarkle says, said hi. Lucas Backmere says, TF. Olui Bayusaya says, no UTF. Summerandom Dinosaur N5D says, none of them because all skeletons are AI. Hornet Dude Haha says, cool. Fedor DHMN says, I dunno. Diru Mr. says, Yokok Small. Mike Oxlong, laughing out loud. Ionutidit says, see. Michael Zimmer says, B, winky face. March Whitey 4 says, I have no clue. Hornet Dude Haha says, hi I'm back. Old Ollie V2F9 says, this is probably made by ChatGPT. Michael Zimmer says, know what, see. Ryria Skooking 1 says, boof I dunno. Manahil Imran Y2S7I says, sup kids. March Whitey 4 says, wait none cause it AI. Thaddeus the Hammer says, A/C. Hornet Dude Haha says, none. Ionutidit says, why is AI tracking our message and saying it ah? Quokka B4W says, it's C. Huneibi says, we meet again. Krizel Lakaba says, it's B. March Whitey 4 says, who the hell said, hi kids? Jasmine Ravate says, C and Y is AI seriously telling our answers though? Umgamer Pekino says, banana. Hornet Dude haha says, did I see a honey bee? Home IW 4 nanometers says, shut up. Jasmine Ravate says, OML no way lol. Pompiaget says, no. Thetius YVSH says, it's the apple in the background. Hunei B says, yes. March Whitey 4 says, wait I may say a bad word. Mix M all says, why is the AI milking hornet _dude _ha? Hunei B says, yes. Umgamer Pekino says, banana. Home IW 4 nanometers says, you. The Random Show says, I think it might be AB. Hornet Dude haha says, wait what? Jasmine Ravate says, I am GAYY 6777 I kinda just wanted to say 67 lols. Crizel Lacaba says, wait, it's none. David Messi M8Y says, okay. Home IW 4 nanometers says, Boo UAR the girl. Kernol Casher Channel says, banana. Hornet Dude haha says, what's up at Hunei B I'm a kind hornet and we look kinda the same. Tony says, the one who can't park the car. Jasmine Ravate says, im done peace. Zia Hernandez T3U says, all of TH. Vicky actually says, spooky scary Skillmans. Sandwich Smuggler says, what does the fox say? Home IW 4 nanometers says, agent. Hunei B says, yeah says you know hornet are kind. Home IW 4 nanometers says, alone. Zia Hernandez T3U says, all of them. Home IW 4 nanometers says, and. David Messi M8Y says, hahaha. Julia Nedeljkovic says, see. Hunei B says, I have previous experiences. Hornet Dude haha says, but I retired from evilness. Hunei B says, still. Eva says, sup shout this out twin. Hornet Dude haha says, don't worry I like bees. Hunei B says, MHM, keep telling yourself that. March Whitey 4 says, don't you guys think it's weird that the AI is reading out loud kids' messages? Bug Guy says, the fi with the die. Hornet Dude haha says, what the heck? Angela Andera says, bruh. Angela Andera says, bruh. Priya Tamsin Tracing says, why did they skip me? Films Bobu says, Heli. Bug Guy says, Fi with the die. Films Bobu says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Films Bobu welcome. Vicky actually says, someone is on the mic as well because I heard movement. Navargo says, all the pelvis looks the same. So it's none. Angela Andera says, Ishanilianich says, I think B or C. Bug Guy says, Fi with the die. Hornet Dude haha says, yeah really. Films Bobu says, Bork. Films Bobu says, hello. Films Bobu says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Films Bobu welcome. Chinthakindya Markamar 18 says, what's? CH0C0L4TM1LK says, wax up. Alien 170p says, I am the last alien. Ishanilianich says, why the AI is talking loud. Stang says, 67. Salam Dachumanang says, 67. Angela Andera says, 67. Films Bobu says, why did they skip me too? Huneibi says, can I also have a VIP rank? Nico de Drago says, Zenseler. Ishanilianich says, don't ekip me. Angela Andera says, 67. Stang says, shut up. Rudra Singh HP3XT says, hi what? Angela Andera says, 67. Films Bobu says, thanks. Alien 170p says, I am the last alien. Huneibi says, 67. Huneibi says, sure. Films Bobu says, thank you. Angela Andera says, 67. Films Bobu says, thanks. Angela Andera says, 67. Hornet Dude haha says, okay I guess. Flies away and goes to eat more sugar. Alien 170p says, I am an alien. Manan Chickenman says, Mr. Sad Face be like. Ishanilianich says, 67. Nico de Drago says, Fabrica Zenki. Angela Andera says, 67. Nico de Drago says, Zenseler. John Ballot says, see check the eyes. Angela Andera says, 6-7. Films Bobu says, faces be KRC but for the bodies none. Angela Andera says, 6-7. Iatel 11 says, said hi. Saza SC2CN says, bro who said B, it's obviously C. Hornet Dude haha says, 67777. Vishnu Alapuza says, clickbait. Ishan Ilyanich says, I hate this AI voice. Hornet Dude haha says, 6777777. Films Bobu says, hi. Funnaleuk says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Funnaleuk 6477 welcome. Rudra Singh HP3XT says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Rudra Singh HP3XT welcome. Iatel 11 says, said hi. Alien 170p says, bro what is the AI doing? Alan Adam B1p says, Malayali undo Ivide. March Whitey 4 says, is the AI crashing out? Hornet Dude haha says, 67. Huneibi says, haha Hornet got banned. Alina XD says, what do you think guys? FN Beck says, 676767. FN Beck says, 676767. Films Bobu says, 6-7 is irritatable. Hornet Dude haha says, I didn't get banned. I only got a warning. Magn 3 says, 67. Iatel 11 says, fly. Alien 170p says, RIAH. Films Bobu says, not anymore sorry. Iatel 11 says, hi. Alina XD says, it is C I think that. Magn 3 says, old lady. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Huneibi says, bro what? Ali P8T8V says, see the legs are skinnier. It's Hanky Roblo says, ITSC. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Dan Black says, buy me a ticket on an airplane don't have time for a fast train. Huneibi says, it's 67. Hornet Dude haha says, yeah it's 67. March Whitey 4 says, I'm gonna make the AI crash out raw 55555555555555555. Hornet Dude haha says, yes. Krishna Hangarj said hi. Krishna Hangarj says, hello. Mix M all says, AAH. Solheim says, RIP, rest in peace my granny, she got hit by a bazooka. Yeah, I think about it every time I hit the hookah. Kaboom. Kablaw. Kaboom. UK Guy 3 says, it's B. Bug Guy says, boom. Alex King W. Abs says, hello Pookie. Krishna Hangarj says, laughing out loud. Hornet Dude haha says, laughing my ass off. Happy says, Nightbot, are you a bot? C1 Na says, what the heck? Old Stock R8W said hi. Krishna Hangarj says, laughing out loud. Happy says, yo, why they keeping saying 67? Hornet Dude haha says, huh. UK Guy 3 says, bro it's B. Happy says, Nightbot, are you a bot? Mix M all says, 67 is so 2025. Cash Spalpython says, Lee referred. Kit Catman says, hello Clanker. Krishna Hangarj says, hello. Krishna Hangarj says, shut up. Nilsi says, Kevin what the fudge. March YD4 says, 55. Hunaeb says, 67. Kevin I says, Neely's it is true. Hornet Dude haha says, 67. Kevin I says, Eve been studying biology. Nora Halkip says, 67. Hornet Dude haha says, no. Hunaeb says, 67. Lovrobal Tizer says, Goog. Frozen Block says, Fa. Hornet Dude haha says, yes. March Whitey4 says, there is no way the AI is that far back. Hunaeb says, for real. Hornet Dude haha says, for real. Sashenflender says, man what the fudge, we don't even need to know, imagine like weird mescays. Hunaeb says, 67.67. Faye Hubbard 4 says, judging on the wideness of the hips I'm going to say it's A and C. Naptrol JR21 says, ITSC. Hunaeb says, it's 67. Exnodex says, all. Hornet Dude haha says, 67. Hornet Dude haha says, said hi. Hunaibi says, it's 67. Sadhna Shukla E2Q says, are you AI? Faye Hubbard 4 says, A and B. Hornet Dude haha says, holy moly. Sadhna Shukla E2Q says, are you AI? Marzer says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Marzer 637 welcome. Raziana Spinoza says, me kid 67. Marzer says, greater. Gaming says, EE. Alicia Bacchus I4Z says, I hate you. Hornet Dude haha says, Google. Broxton says, the trees cannot be harmed while the Lorax is armed. Lexi William D6D says, said hi. Jingjing John Whitey says, it's see I don't know if I'm right or wrong cause I'm pretty sure can you please make me mod. Sashenflenders says, 67.67 is the me oh my god, AI is saying it do you know. Mela says, it's A and C. Embrier's Mascara says, AC. Embrier's Mascara says, AC. Eugene Mambo R4Q says, A and C. OT7 Forever Y3Z says, it's C. Michael Driver UB3G says, show us them when they were alive RQ. Lexi William D6D says, 6767. Hornet Dude haha says, Sashenflenders says, that im a so. Sashenflenders says, why? Cowboy Mark says, B doesn't exist. Bananas Vericle says, it's that one. PL4 Elisper 0N says, none. Lexi William D6D says, yeah 67. Mix M all says, everyone should shut TF up with 67. Haha ha so funny 6767. Ra. Hunaibi says, 67. Hunaibi says, 67. Lexi William D6D says, yes 67. Monicaragewania says, FSVSH. Lexi William D6D says, you. Hunaibi says Hunaibi says B Hunai. Vijaykumar Malhotra says, women have one rib less than men. Sriraj Srikumar says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Sriraj Srikumar 2121 welcome. Hornet Dude haha says 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 Hornet Dude haha. Marky says, none the hips bones are the same showing they are all male. Your local seat lolly main says, H.A. Huneibi says, Hunei says B Hunei says B who like me. Mr. No Name S8 says, they are all male because they all have balls. Hilda Libres says, Holdalibers Bress ha. Sriraj Srikumar says, suspicious. Sashin Flenders says, that am a AI talking to subs talking to you talking to subs talking to a weird AI. Kabuz99 says, it's a. Master Vibes says, mass debate. Sriraj Srikumar says, bro. The real Skylar Whitey says, RR. Hornet Dude haha says 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 who will squish me before I escape. The real Skylar Whitey says, RR. Shirley Pui X6Y says, I don't know. Gayani says, it's C. Hornet Dude haha says, Joe Mama. Mr. No Name S8 says, they are all male because they all have giant balls. MSJSTRYK says, they're boys. Lee Madden says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Lee Madden 560 welcome. The real Skylar Whitey says, Boeing Tester 67 Squirrel Dubai Gold Rate. Elizabeth Riddick says, C is the woman's. MSJSTRYK says, CCC. Huneibi says, who will burn me before I escape? S3E says, China is great China is great China is great China is great. Marcus Nanan says, said hi. Master Vibes says, Chinese Navy is bad. Huneibi says, no one. Hornet Dude Haha says, thank you for the answer. Hornet Dude Haha says, I didn't really like sugar anyway. Huneibi says, ah. Hornet Dude Haha says, rah. All Time Tech 12 says, A because the pelvis is wider and women have la. MSJSTRYK says, oh my god, stop copying my voice. Hornet Dude Haha says, rah. Hornet Dude Haha says, nice. Steak VV2 says, I'm noob. All Time Tech 12 says, A because pelvis is wider and women have larger upper teeth. Steak VV2 says, I'm noob. Huneibi says, who will let me make honey before I escape? Nightbot says Hornet_Dude_ Haha is getting banned for 6-7 years due to domestic violence. Hornet Dude Haha says, nobody. Hornet Dude Haha says, I'm not getting banned, it's just a warning. Hornet Dude Haha says, it's not even violence. Mr. No Name S8 says, they are all male because they all have giant balls. They are all male because they all have giant balls. They are all male because they all have giant balls. They are all male because T. The smart programmer says, are the same. Huneibi says, by guys who will squish me before I get squish me before I get squish me before I get squish me. Nightbot says love me. Zedric Aguilar says, it's see the pelvic bone. Hornet Dude Haha says, who will not let me go before I get squished? Everybody. Who will not leave me alone? Everyone. The smart programmer says, it's B. Daniel Drapic HS4I says, it's C. Huneibi says, who is everybody? Hornet Dude haha says, everyone here. Steak VV2 says, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 7 and I'm GAY. Steak VV2 says, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 7 and I'm GAY. Huneibi says, not me. Daniel Drapic HS4I says, I think it's C. Hornet Dude haha says, what do you mean? Hello Kitty Fan P2R says, I think B. Zedric Aguilar says, please give the answer already then we proceed to next question. Hornet Dude haha says, this is like Rage Bait or SMTH. Warzone S3I says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Warzone, S3I welcome. Hornet Dude haha says, I have stress issues. Hornet Dude haha says, haha. City BAD says, I don't know. Emma 1234 Stunksa says, HIF. Sierra Darcy T1 Ton says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Sierra Darcy, T1T welcome. Hornet Dude haha says, did they skip me? Punicame says, obviously it is C you can tell because women have whites in their eyes and that skeleton has white in its eyes. However I'm not an expert on men's biology sorry guys. Warzone S3I says, I got an idea to be annoying. S4NTYZ says, C, larger pelvic girdle. Hornet Dude haha says, I got an idea to squish myself already. HNHTV says, it's A of Kraus bro like she's a girl. Mersykin says, this is so funny. HNHTV says, bro this is fun give me more please bro. Like I subscribe to you my man. Punicame says, poor Hornet Dude do you have so much to live for like muddy puddles I'm building nests on porches or in sheds. Mersykin says, I actually don't know which one. Hornet Dude haha says, yeah. I do have a hard life. Warzone S3I says, K sorry. Warzone S3I says, is that allowed? Hornet Dude haha says, I'm outta here TS is too much. Punicame says, good luck Hornet Dude. Benerlin Term says, said hi. Silly Froggy says, A, B, and C. Hornet Dude haha says, I'm back to stay for a while. Hornet Dude haha says, said hi. Clarice Worsley says, CBC it's short. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Hornet Dude haha says, laughing out loud. Punicame says, according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly, and, its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground as a hornet. What's your take on this? Warzone S3I says, oh. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C. Warzone S3I says, laughing my ass off. Hornet Dude haha says, I'm thin not fat. What the heck now? Ilovek Pop says, it's C. Warzone S3I says, that's questionable. Luke Skywalker says, A, B and C. Hornet Dude haha says, I just came here to stay for a while. Warzone S3I says, Lamo. Hornet Dude haha says, who is a Lamo? Ilovek Pop says, Shifty Poop. Zmunjus says, C, the hips are bigger compared to A and B. Punicame says, listen Hornet Dude, I thought you and B's are like relatives or maybe just in cousins. I really hope that wasn't an insensitive question. Luke Skywalker says, buy Bitcoin. Hornet Dude haha says, wow. X9JR2 says, the poopy is shifting outside. Hornet Dude haha says, oh okay. Warzone S3I says, I'm the biggest bird. I'm the biggest bird. I'm the biggest bird. I'm the biggest bird. X9JR2 says, XD. Highest says, D, it's D. Luke Skywalker says, Jesus died for your sin. He loves you. Iconx W6N says, I farted and it will come to your house and stink. Hornet Dude haha says, the poopy shift head is shifting in and out. Hornet Dude haha says, okay. Punicame says, somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me but I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Kiraguakra says, yo WSG y'all. Hornet Dude haha says, I have a stinger and I'll sting someone that is rude to me. Just a joke. Kiraguakra says, yo chill man. Ilovek Pop says, hi ya ya ha 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 ha. Florian Shopman N5T says, BBB. Iconx W6N says, laughing out loud. Kiraguakra says, brother I ain't Kiragragro. Kateemlike says, I am my prophet. Hornet Dude haha says, FFF. Iconx W6N says, get out. Iconx W6N says, I'm sorry. Kiranya Bartherja says, Lolbob. Kiraguakura says, in Karagu. X9JR2 says, bro, I got ignored. AI says I'm going to quit this job. Hornet Dude haha says, nah. Warzone S3I says, yo bro, what stage in life are you a hornet? Punicame says, ST0P spamming CAPZ. Robina Shaheen says, too dumb for TS. Florian Shotman N5T says, bro skipped me. Kiraguakura says, keep calling me Kiragu. Kateemlike says, Ilmayo. Hornet Dude haha says, yes I'm a hornet but I promise I won't sting. Kateemlike says, laughing my ass off. Hornet Dude haha says, laughing my ass off. Warzone S3I says, I feel like you're lying. Hornet Dude haha says, I ain't. Kiraguakura says, you. Zazmiumzom says, what the fudge, stop skipping me. Punicame says, spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine, shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Kiraguakura says, wow. Kai11 says, hello guys. Warzone S3I says, laughing my ass off, laughing my ass off. Punicame says, spooky, scary skeletons speak with such a screech you'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek. Kiraguakura says, did lil bro just say fudge? Punicame says, we're sorry, skeletons, you're so misunderstood, you only want to socialize, but I don't think we should. Warzone S3I says, guys we need to stop cursing. Kai11 says, HH. Foodie for Life 2 Saints says, said hi. Punicame says, cause spooky, scary skeletons shout startling, shrilly screams they'll sneak from their sarcophagus and just won't leave you be. Hornet Dude haha says, laughing my ass off has the word ass. Kiraguakura says, guys let's start some drama. Warzone S3I says, stop saying LMO. Hornet Dude haha says, okay. Punicame says, spirits supernatural are shy, what's all the fuss, but bags of bones seem so unsafe, it's semi-serious. Warzone S3I says, I got put in timeout. Anashas Workafart says, said hi. Hornet Dude haha says, you only got a warning not a time put. T.A. Parker says, Sitsk. Hornet dude haha says, out. Boomaglit says, it's C. Punicame says, spooky, scary skeletons are silly all the same, they'll smile and scrabble slowly by and drive you so insane. Warzone S3I says, fah. Boomaglit says, you pass me. Hornet dude haha says, fun. Anashas Workafart says, I have no idea which one is female honestly. Warzone S3I says, I feel like getting put in a timeout corner. Punicame says, sticks and stones will break your bones, they seldom let you snooze, spooky, scary skeletons will wake you with a bio. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, you smell like poo. Hornet dude haha says, knock knock. Joshua Query W8V says, it's C. The Ninja Gamer says, I am a bad YouTuber. Future Tyler says, the C is a woman because women have bigger pelvis to give birth. Hornet dude haha says, I'm the worst. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, it's C man. One L0VE1 Pi 3 CE says, it's C everyone. Chase Nielsen GB2LV says, QLL. Chase Nielsen GB2LV says, all. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, not gonna lie, I love this live. Future Tyler says, the C is a woman because they have bigger pelvis to give birth. Human 12345C says, none. Future Tyler says, Chase Nielsen, it's not all stupid, it's C. SA4D says, it's B. 4 says, Doom. Chase Nielsen GB2LV says, hi Grampy, do not have a pool of the best possible outcome for your home or business. You need to be a good idea to have a pool of the best possible outcome for your home or boosie. Steve's Mukbang C says, this is AI slop. And Lit Forever says, bring back Heezung. Hornet Dude haha says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Hornet_Dude_ haha welcome. Krazisaw says, Gestum W Amorice. SA4D says, it's B. Hornet Dude haha says, it's see you can see that the hips are bigger. SA4D says, it's B guys. Punicame says, why don't you ask the kids of Tiananmen Square? Was fashion the reason why they were there? Laura Thompson says, poo-poo. Laura Thompson says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Laura Thompson 988 welcome. Hornet Dude haha says, it's C not B. Chase Nielsen GB2LV says, the best possible outcome for your home to the end of the best way possible service you want call you can get me to be a good idea to have a pool of the best possible outcome. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, it's not B. Punicame says, they disguise it, hypnotize it television made you buy it I am just sitting in my car and waiting for my. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, it's not B. Ginevra Adams says, you're stupid everyone's skeleton looks the same. Hornet Dude haha says, ITSC. And Lit Forever says, bring back Heezung I hate Belift and Hype I should just burn the whole building down why can't Heezung just be in Hypen while being a soloist too? The members miss you Heezung we miss you. Aldrias Anetalacris says, Jello it is C. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, at and Lit Forever is stupid. Ginevra Adams says, stupid do you even not answer? Hannah Cassandra Dye says, yesikit. Future Tyler says, Ginevra you're the stupid one. And Lit Forever says, shut up at Hannah Cassandra Dye. Kirsten Hemmels says, it is C I guess. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, how BT no. Irmam E8N says, bruh I just joined what's this beef? Samama Katun TV 6DG says, it's C because it's the shortest. Mekaliabdu says, none. Punicame says, they don't look the same. The one being bullied by the ones on the ends. They should be punished for their crimes and forced to write a 4-page letter about how they are sorry to be. And Lit Forever says, you're not even that smart and you're calling people stupid like you're not stupid you're just a big hole poop. Wow I feel so Mizuki says, wow I feel so Mizuki. Chase Nielsen GB2LV says, none. Hannah Cassandra Dye says, woo. Future Tyler says, in Lit Forever what? Hannah Cassandra Dye says, blood is 5 years old. And Lit Forever says, at Hannah Cassandra Dye. And Lit Forever says, wow. Mowaj Abdullah F4Q says, "See guys, I know it's C." Ermam E8N says, "No, it's Z." Hannah Cassandra Dye says, "ALR by IMA leave." And Lit Forever says, "I bet you just came out of the womb." Samama Katun TV6DG says, "I just got into the live when Ed and Lit Forever said bring Heesung back." Hannah Cassandra Dye says, "Nice." Mr. Bozo says, "Boo-woo." ABVXD says, "C is a woman because she is smaller and has finer bones." Kai11 says, "There's beef." Ermam E8N says, "Actually I think it's X." Pop and Bet says, "Stop skipping Mini." Mowaj Abdullah F4Q says, "It's Mowaj not Mowaj." Punicame says, "Oh ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand." Oh ocean man, the voyage to a world not ravaged by capitalism is a real trip. Ocean man, the secrets of life are engraved. Punicame says, "In the sand." MK2 Player 1 says, "Laughing out loud." Sirit Byrat says, "Actually all of them is." Pop and Bet says, "Yay." Punicame says, "My cat's a circle because she is round." Kai11 says, "Mandam's gotta stop beefing." Pardis Nagri says, "Boo-woo." Pop and Bet says, 6-7. Pop and Bet says, 6-7 uwu. The Moonbros 1 says, "Hi." Anish says, "Welcome to chat at the Moonbros 1, welcome." Ruben Kelly 05 VM says, 67 wow. Kai11 says, "Stop online dating." Miley Siditz official says, "Stop." Sirit Byrat says, "Novem Septuaginta Centillion." Miley Siditz official says, "Stop online dating." Ginevra Adams says, "Are you just going to stop saying my sentences?" Abba Jazing says, "Stop." Hornet Dude haha says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Hornet_Dude_ haha welcome. Punicame says, this hit crazy, y'all don't know that, don't hit phase me, the nets could go 0 to 82 and I look at you like this hit gravy. Leo Kyo Taik says, Ronaldo is the best Ushuhuhihin Ibanan. Miley Sidits official says, hello my buddy. XTRA said hi. Miriam Lindstrom P5C says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at Miriam Lindstrom P5C welcome. Slayplazy9J says, why is it reading it out? Miley Sidits official says, bro stop hating on him. Lissaglukakak says, no. 33 Rao says, engagement bait. Punicame says, this hit weird, we ain't even supposed to be here, since we here it's only right that we be fair. Psycho, I'm liable to be go Michael, take your pick. Lissaglukakak says, no. Leo Kyo Taik says, Messi is the worst, Ronaldo is the best, and tung sure. Miley Sidits official says, bro stop hating on him. Ashfay Michael says, said hi. Birthday Queen says, hi I'm birthday_Queen 1239. Tricia says, hi it's my birthday. Punicame says, Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, Game 6 got a broke clock, Raleighs that don't tick-tock, Audemars that losing time hidden behind all these big rocks, I'm shocked too, I'm supposed to be locked up too. Temesai says, B because girls are always sad. Jennifer K76 says, they're all men. Miley Sidits official says, PLSS. Punicame says, Temes what an elite answer. Kim Madison says, A for sure. Tricia says, Ronaldo is better. Landon Fisher says, I hit somebody with my car one time. It was a small family of 2 and a mother with a stroller. It was back in 1998. V. Astralis says, C because it's a human. Ella Lily Rose says, I don't know. Thanos 16 says, of course C. Punicame says, Landon do you happen to have a Reddit? Tricia says, C. Teresa Duffy V2S says, it is C. Teresa Duffy V2S says, hey. Anish says, welcome to chat at Teresa Duffy V2S welcome. Miley Sidits official says, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left cause I've been blastin' and Logan so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. Elias Karma Q6B says, CCC, face fuchsia poop shape. Mila Sofia Nubnin says, CCC. User CR107 New 7L says, CC. Elias Karma Q6B says, AAA. The Real Clock says, CCC. Elias Karma Q6B says, AAA. The Real Clock says, CCC. Miley Sidits official says, lost in the fog I fear that there's still further to fall it's dangerous, cause I want it all and I don't think I care what it costs. I shouldn't have fallen in love look what it made me become I let you. Rebuking Plays says, CCC. User CR107 New 7L says, hello. Anish says, welcome to chat at user, CR107 New 7L welcome. Gordon Finlay says, CC Rider. The Real Clock says, the Real Clock say C. Striker Garland says, no, I got here and heard the guy singing Gangsta's Paradise, I was tempted to type in the whole thing. User CR107 New 7L says, ABC. Miley Sidits official says, CHCH Chop Squad police steady watching me, every day they clocking me every day they clocking me, Chop Squad DJ on the beat so it's a banger, police steady watching me. Rebuking Plays says, 67 Aura farming mangoes. User CR107 New 7L says, 67. Xander MCDXD says, it's B I think cause she doesn't have money in her hand when girls don't have money they're sad. Rebuking Plays says, 67 Aura farming mangoes. Striker Garland says, whoever said 67 needs to get out of here. Pizza YTY1U says, hi. Miley Sidits official says, CHCH Chop Squad police steady watching me, every day they clocking me every day they clocking me, Chop Squad DJ on the beat so it's a banger, police steady watching me, every day they clocking me every. User CR107 New 7L says, la la. D0CL0VE says, women have wider hips. Rebuking Plays says, if making content is your power what are you without it? User CR107 New 7L says, Lala. Punicame says, Ruffles, and laces and white fluffy duck. She said she was learning a new way to bring up her children, so they would not spit, while the boys in the barnyard were shoveling. Striker Garland says, and I'm glad women have wider hips. Rebuking Plays says, they tried, but I lied. Flipping B3S says, women have one less rib. Lucky Beginner says, why is double spelled wrong? Rebuking Plays says, you. Huggy Makes Content says, what? Punicame says, refuse and litter from yesterday's hunt, while the girl in the meadow was rubbing her eyes at the fellow, down by the dock. He looked like a man with a sizable. Letogeniglepsy01 says, B. Tricia says, everyone wish me a happy birthday. Striker Garland says, now, what if I threw a through at you but you at you when you at? Rebuking Plays says, Skibbity Toilet Rizzler Aura Farm Mangoes. Mohammed says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at Mohammed 34509 welcome. Miley Sidits Official says, Sigurd 5 Razuri, Replicai Sigurd 5 Razuri, Replicai de Agatat, Anil my smooth, Altili my amusanti esti cumba Wi-Fi. Pentru ca simp connexi unia dintre noi. Nu styu ce. Someone's name says, hi. Anish says, welcome to chat at someone's name's welcome. Striker Garland says, Rebuking Plays just signed a death contract. Lucky Beginner says, how does this text-to-speech work? Fansuk says, NIIIMA gonna get you banned ga. Someone's name says, I think B. Miley Sidits Official says, I am a menace. Someone's name says, cool.